quite like this video from Caroline Poynton because it is quite true. And I thought this was quite true. I thought, blooming hell, what the heck is this?
At 5 a.m. this morning, police forces up and down England and Wales supported by Police Scotland and the PSNI have raided a series of properties, up to 200 properties, that were held by people who worked in fish and chip shops, who were white British Christians who had been accused of deliberately grooming and attacking young people of Pakistani heritage, particularly young girls. This is one of the most shocking stories you will ever hear. It is a story of racist abuse. It is a story of deliberately drugging children. It is a story of it is a story about funding Christian teen gangs and indeed fueling a SA offences industry that has deliberately sought to target the British Muslim community. This story isn't true, but I'm going to tell you that this video is all about the shoe on the other foot. Imagine what had happened in a counter scenario. And I'm going to go through in this video why the British government, the British state, the British police are complete hypocrites. Stick with me for a second, because this video isn't news. There's no new information in it. It's just an attempt to get you to think about things in a slightly different way. And perhaps debate with your neighbours and explain to your local council, police officers or local member of parliament why many of us feel the way that we feel. Okay, hello, my name's Andrea Walker. Thank you so much for watching this video. We are supporting at all times the Patriot Fund that goes out and supports patriotic causes, that supports, by the way, at the moment, the campaign to stop women being abused as they walk the streets by immigrant gangs. You can donate below. We're going to see them on Friday. Okay, so I started to think about things a little bit differently. I've talked to you for a little while, and I think we're quite good mates, even if we haven't met in person. Yeah. And I started to think,
I like him. It's good.
I watched South Africa, and they were saying, isn't it a disgrace that white settlers have gone over there, even though they're an ethnic minority? They take priority in government jobs, they take priority in housing, they take priority in terms of the economy. They get, you know, preferential, I don't know, tax preferential education. They got all of these things specifically for them. In a country that is majority Zulu, they nonetheless get their get government documents translated into English and Afrikaans, which is completely outrageous. Why should we behave in this way? And then I started to think to myself, well, what is the difference between an expat? What is the difference between a settler and what is the difference between an immigrant? Well, actually, there isn't one, is there? So if I was to say to you, listen, there's been major concerns in the United Kingdom that people have come over from Pakistan, say, and I don't always want to sound like I'm singling out Pakistan, it's an example, but people have come over from Pakistan, yes. They are a minority in this country, yes. They have priority on housing, yes. They have priority in terms of jobs in government. They have priority in terms of scholarships to university. You know, the whites need not apply culture. They are a minority who are given additional rights in a majority white country. Now, if that was South Africa and it was the other way around, you'd go completely mad. The rest is politics. Boo! Their heads would go crazy. Hey, by the way, before I go any further, I'm going to tell you that Rory Stewart is a liar. I think we all know that Alistair Campbell's a liar after that dodgy dossier where millions were killed in Iraq. But I'm going to tell you why I know that Rory Stewart is a liar. And by the way, I'm going to talk more about the actual video in a second, but this is just a side thing. Rory Stewart on his CV says that he's a visiting professor at Harvard University. That is only partially true. I want to explain to you something as somebody who holds a postgraduate at the University of London. Professor has a different meaning in the United Kingdom and the United States of America. In the United Kingdom, there is a professor is the head of a department. He has a seat. So the head of politics at Durham University will be Professor Bob Jones. Yeah. You know, you've heard Professor John Curtis. He is the head of whatever it is at Strathclyde University. They have a seat. It's what they call in America a tenured professor. A visiting professor in the United Kingdom is actually called a guest lecturer.
Yeah.
So the title is given. Now,
Guest.
if you are a British Member of Parliament, if you are British,
Right,
you should
now
not be
get it
adopting
now.
titles from abroad
I get
unless
it
you've
now
been
on them
properly
things now about the
approved
court
for
things
them.
when they say guest.
For
I get
Rory
it
Stewart to
now.
say that he is a visiting professor at the
I get
University
what
of
they
Harvard
mean now when they say guest on
strongly
them. With
suggests
the PDF
that he is a
things
professor by
what
our
I've read
understanding of it. Now, Americans understand
about
that
certain
professor
court
just means
judges and
university
things.
lecturer.
When they say
But in
guest,
the United Kingdom, he has
is that what you
misrepresented
mean now? Thanks for that.
what he's talking about. So we know the rest of his politics are liars.
Yeah.
But imagine them. Imagine them if they were talking about it in that way, where it was South Africa, where it's a minority of white people coming in, getting preferential treatment on housing. And then look at the beginning of this story, and I was inspired by, I think, the Peter McCormack show on this one. What an amazing thought. Can you imagine if this video was true? Can you imagine if I told the truth to you? Can you imagine if this wasn't fake news? Can you imagine if it had been uncovered that there were gangs of marauding Christian white boys who were going around abusing
Yeah.
and raping
Can you imagine
young Asian
I've
girls
always thought
specifically
like that.
of Pakistani origin because they were
And I
Muslim,
don't know why you've been
and
allowed to
saying,
say
I
this,
am doing
but
this to you
there must be a
because you are
reason.
Muslim. Imagine the BBC, imagine Sky News, imagine Emily Maitlis, imagine Kay Burley, imagine John Sopel. This country would be in flames
Yeah.
if that had happened. There would be riots on the streets and the police would be agreeing with them. That thing that I said, where the police had ordered a crackdown
Yeah.
and raided 200 premises simultaneously, that would have happened.
Yeah.
That would have happened.
Yeah.
But of course it won't.
Because it did it with
Because
us.
we have now a racist and a segregated society. Now, I'm not saying that Britain is the same as apartheid South Africa. That would be ludicrous. I hate when people say, it's like the Nazis. I hate things like that. However, there is a two-tier justice system, and there is, if you like, an ethnic hierarchy, which is to say that you will have a different legal system, only slightly different, but a separate legal system if you are Muslim than you would have if you're a white Christian. And I'll give you an example. If I was to, like yesterday, burn a Bible, I would not be prosecuted. If I was to burn a Quran, I will be prosecuted, because the rights of a Muslim to have their religious book defended are more significant than the rights of a Christian. Now, just to explain what Westminster Crown Court said about that, well, because Muslims are especially offended by the burning of the Quran, they should have additional protections. I don't see that, if I'm being honest. If you mugged my granny, I don't see why the offender should have an additional punishment because I was more offended than when he mugged your grandmother. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, does it? But of course, that is the way that we now see our society, and it's a very Marxist way of viewing it.
Yeah.
I honestly believe that the Marxists always used to say somebody has to win, somebody has to lose, and that is in terms of class struggle. But now it's ethnic struggle that they've brought to the United Kingdom. They want it to be like this. They want people to be beaten into the floor. And so I say to myself,
I always say
well,
that.
I don't understand why somebody in Spain is an expat, whereas somebody in South Africa is a settler. I think we should change the narrative. We should change the way we say this. We should say these are settlers. The settler community in Burnley has demanded the following. The settler community in Birmingham has demanded its own schools teaching its own religion and its own language. If we start calling them settler communities, then I think that we start to understand what ought to be the hierarchy. And what ought to be the hierarchy is very simply this. I believe in love. And I believe in love. It sounds a bit silly. And I always think that we have in our society sexualised love. There's a very important role in human society for sexual love, but the vast majority of love, the vast majority of times, is non-sexual. And so, I love, as an example, my brothers more than I love you. I love my dad more probably than I love my brothers. I don't know. I love my mum probably more than I love my dad. I don't know. I'm thinking about this. But of course, there's these concentric circles, isn't there? Which is, I love my immediate family more than I love my cousins, more than I love my more distant family, more than I love my neighbour, more than I love my ward, more than I love my county, more than I love my country, more than I love the world or whatever it is. And I think that if we start to look at it like that, then we say that I genuinely believe, and I believe it's legitimate to say, our priority has to be to look after those people who are our cousins, who are our community, over and above the settler community. The settler community, I think, has a duty to contribute to the country, and if that settler community doesn't contribute, then questions need to be asked about whether that settler community ought to continue. The idea that we live in a society where 14%, 1/4% of modern migrants to the United Kingdom came here to work, and the rest came here to bleed off benefits. I don't accept that my next door neighbour, by the way, is a care home. I'm at my dad's house. I don't believe that they should receive a reduced budget because of a problem that exists in Syria that we're going to now import to the United Kingdom. And I think that now we have to start thinking about things in terms of first principle. And that's what this video is really about. It's to say, what if you knew nothing about history, if you knew nothing
well,
about
charity,
society,
that's one thing. The charity starts at home.
If you knew nothing about the two-tier justice system,
Starts
what would you say?
home first.
The first thing you'd say is that demanding Urdu in schools is the same as demanding Afrikaans
nobody can demand
in schools
shit.
in the Natal.
Demanding shit gets nobody anywhere.
Housing,
How dare
people who
somebody
come over
demand?
from Syria,
They don't have a right to
people who are originally from Poynton,
demand.
then that's only the same
I don't think
as what
that's
happened
right.
when the white people, like
No one
I suppose my
demanding
family, if
anything.
you want to put it that way,
I
went to the North
It's
America
like that
and
people
started
that are
throwing
born
off
in the country,
the Native
like
Americans
me,
from their land. It's exactly
demand
the same, isn't it?
the
You
fact
can't live
that
here
we don't
because
want
space
all
needs
these
to be
people
made
in the
for
country.
the new settlers.
I was going to say,
that
they're
is
not
the
new
same whether
settlers,
you're
these
talking about
people, mate. They're illegal
Pennsylvania
fucking
or whether
immigrants.
you're talking about modern Burnley. And I think that when you're
There's a
saying
difference
on
in the
point of first
settlers
principle, you
and
know,
the illegal immigrants.
if you would have been
It's
offended
completely
by
different.
hate crime
Let's get that
of white
one right.
people raping Pakistani girls,
The
then you have to be
settlers,
offended
and
by
they,
the
some
hate
of them
crime
need to
of
go as well.
Pakistani men,
Well,
offended
even if
against
you were
white
born
girls.
here, but
That is what
their
should
ancestors
happen
are from
now.
Pakistan,
And I
they're
think
going
more
back
than
to
anything
Pakistan.
else, we need to
It's not
establish
my
a
fault.
principle
It's
here.
not our
And
fault.
it's a
It's their
principle
own.
that we've struggled with for a long time.
Yeah.
I love you more than I love a Syrian, more than I love an Eritrean,
And
more than I
charity
love
starts at
somebody
home.
from South America or wherever it is. I love a European more than I love an Asian.
I love England more than I love
I
fucking
hate
France.
Asia, but you know we are a community,
Yeah.
and that
I love
community
Bury
bond
more
gets
than I love
less
some
and less
places.
as you
Because
go
I live
around the
in
world.
Bury,
So I'll give you an example.
Manchester.
I care more about a Mongolian than I do about a polar bear. I would save a Mongolian child rather than saving a polar bear because I'm also a human. And I think that that's what we have to start saying. It's about concentric circles of community. I love my father more than you, and I love you more than I
Until it
love a
starts
cat.
at fucking
And I
home.
think if we think in those terms, then we start to get something right.
Yep.
This principle that we always have to treat everything in the world equally
No, we
is
don't.
nonsense. I'm going to eat a cow and I'm going to give you a slice of my steak.
Yeah.
I'm not going to eat you and feed the cow with the meat I get off you. That would be silly. We need now to be much more sensible and much more circumspect and much more defensive of our own people. Please do donate to the Patriot Fund. And I'm going to get that message out today, that video, about all the things we're spending money on. Please, 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 please send us a donation because it really, really helps save this country.
Well, I don't know
Till
any
next time,
nations, but
goodbye.
thank you very much for that one.